Hello, Internet. Ben here with a different sort of thing. So I usually post updates on Mysterious Space, but I had a vacation, just like work vacation time. I went out and visited a friend in Ohio, and while I was traveling, I just wanted to work on something else. RPG Maker is something I've used before to make games. I do want to assure people who are watching, following Mysterious Space, that this isn't replacing Mysterious Space. I'm pretty much done with this project for now. I just wanted to kind of mess around with it, and I've already gotten back, in fact, to Mysterious Space, and I will post a Mysterious Space update video shortly. But I wanted to show people, I don't know, something else. I have, again, as I've said, I've worked with RPG Maker before, and I've learned some of the Ruby behind it, which, if you know any Ruby, then people in the RPG Maker community tend to call you a scripter because you actually know how to deal with the scripting, which is again in Ruby. I'm not very familiar with Ruby. I would never claim to have great proficiency in Ruby, but I have mucked with it about within the context of RPG Maker, and I just wanted to show. I thought this might be helpful for someone if you wanted to make a map that, or sorry, a game that did things this way. So let me just show how this works. You'll notice that a lot of the graphics are these super pixelized graphics that I used for another game that I made in the past, and then others are I'm just kind of filling in with other stuff. So again, whatever, I'm not really caring. She's not going to let me leave until I talk about a bunch of stuff. Okay, I'm going to go and get her mail. All right, so we have, and we can, I don't know, we can go around the house, whatever. Let's get out of here and see how the game is actually played. And this is the part that I want to talk about that I scripted, because all the stuff so far, whatever. What I have done that's the scriptiness is this sort of transition. You'll notice we've got fixed screens, and what I was thinking was the original Zelda games. If you remember Legend of Zelda, you had these fixed screens. They did like a sliding animation. I didn't get into all that. But I wanted an easy way to make maps that transition this way without having. So let me show you how you might, let's say, traditionally do this. Shut down. The way you would traditionally do this is you would stick, and here you can see all my maps, is you would stick little events on the edge of each screen, and it would be a teleporting event. Sorry, the capture is not completely getting this. Transfer player. Oh, I want to go to this particular space, and I want it at this particular cell. You have to pick a specific map, a specific cell. And so if you wanted, I don't know if you noticed when I was playing, let me start it up again. If I go up from here, it's kind of seamless. It seems like you're walking around a huge world. If I'm all the way over here and I go up, I'm at the exact same Y position, and similarly, same X position, same X position, X position, X. Oh, that's a word that I don't intend to say. But anyway, so I could litter the edges with all of these events and code them to go the precisely. It would be a huge pain in the butt, right? So what I have opted to do instead, I was like, surely there's a way, because I've done that before. I made a game a long time ago, actually in RPG Maker 2003, which doesn't even let you, do the scripting. That essentially I did that. I littered the edges with events. But again, maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe that is a huge waste of time. And I thought to myself, surely I can accomplish this in Ruby. And so that is what I'm here to show you. So first of all, let me say a little thing. It was hard to notice while you played, but the edges of the maps here you are not looking at. And I can kind of prove that by putting, I think, was that the map I was on, 2E? Let's go find this map. And actually here, let's put a red book in the center so we'll know when we get there. Oops, I cannot click. What I'm trying to show you, though, I'll just spoil it, is that you can't see those edges. Good, I guess correctly. So you can't see the edge, right? There's a book, and in fact, these books now apparently block my movement. I found a space where they went there, right? So the books are there, but I'm not seeing them. And ordinarily, the camera follows you so that you would see these edges. So what I did, first of all, was fix the camera so that it cannot move. And I'll just get rid of all this stuff. So, and sorry, just before I get into this, so the whole top row, the whole bottom row, the far left row, and the far right row you cannot see. And actually, due to the specific dimensions I chose, you can see like the top 2 or 4 pixels of the bottom row here, and the bottom 2 or 4, I'm not quite sure, pixels of the top row here. So, initially I had actually been lining my edges with a gray background just to prove to myself that the camera was fixed in the right position, that I couldn't see things. But yeah, here we can see I can actually see the bottom 4 pixels there, but not the right 4, I guess, there. So I stopped doing that and just set them all green, which is better anyway, because this is sort of an overlap area. If we look at, so you'll notice I have like, what's the game? Battleships, right? It kind of got a battleship coordinate system here to help me keep track of which maps are which. And I also have entered in their ID the same as we have from RPG Maker itself, and that's important for linking the maps together, and I'll show how that works later. But anyway, so let's look at like a 2D versus 3D. So, right, here's 2D. And so check out these flowers up here, right? We've got this square with the grass and the 2 flowers. And if we go to 3D, we can see that that's right here, right? So I'm copying always the 2 left and the 2 right, and then the 2 top and the 2 bottom, and using those from screen to screen. And so we can see that again here. So 3D, if we wanted to go down to 3E, then we would see same idea. We've got this whole top 2 row. These whole top 2 rows are copied here. And so not having, again, when I had, been putting these gray edges, copying and pasting those, and I had to go fix it, and it was a pain in the butt. So it's better to have not done that, but I needed it, again, to prove to myself that things were working properly. So, but you can't see evidence of that anymore. Anyway, so that is one thing. I made sure, just for consistency, to copy those. That was also important to me because I want to make sure that if, like, imagine if you could come down a screen and end up in this little square here, but then you'd be stuck and not be able to go up because you didn't have the exact same trees or whatever, the same blocking tiles. So I made sure to copy everything properly. Anyway, I've rambled about that quite enough. You probably realize, like, yes, I get it. Let's see the script. So let's see the script. First of all, here's the script for locking the scrolling. Let me see if I can get this all. Okay, no scrolling. We override some default methods that try to scroll the screen to make them do nothing instead. And for the initial set display position, I'm doing an initial offset that is precisely as I want it. So in this case, X is 1, Y is 1. The reason that I have this is it's an eighth of a tile from the, that eighth tile that we can see on the top and bottom. And really the parallax doesn't matter because I'm never going to use it. This is the real important part. It's that 1/8 tile offset, those 4 pixels that we're seeing. It just so happens the resolution I chose, which is I think it's 16:9, like a standard widescreen kind of window size. And you may have noticed that the screen was a little wider, than most RPG Maker games. And I just set the, and I can show you where that is. It's like a super simple thing to set the graphics. So 640 by 360, 1280 by 720, right? 1080. So it's, no, 1280, yeah, 1280p, whatever, 720p, whatever it is. I made it, that high def standard resolution, and that just happens to mean that we have an extra eighth of a tile total that gets displayed, and so that is why, in my case, I have this minus 0.125. So if you did different resolution, you would want different sizes of maps, and therefore you would do different, offsets here. This is the tricky part, though. So here's the tricky part. Auto moving when you hit the edge of a map. So it doesn't work 100% perfect, actually. And so before I talk about this, let me show you the instances in which it does not work perfect. Sorry, let me get that back in where you can see it. So we need to get back home. And I believe I remember, yeah, here's home. So we'll go inside. Now watch carefully. When I go down, I get transitioned to a new screen and then pulled out, right? So, right, what's up with that? That is because of that imperfect, the imperfect code here, and here's what it is. So this is a standard game event that we're overriding, a standard method, function, whatever you want to call it, and this is responsible for checking triggers on the ground when you step on them. So every time you place an event on the ground that says, if a player is touching this, do this little code, this is the function that actually makes it happen, and it does it by calling this other built-in method, start map event. It passes in an XY trigger, blah, 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 blah. I wanted, so this seemed like a good place to me. When I was coding this, I was like, well, how am I going to check every time they've stepped in a space whether or not they've hit the edge and therefore do this other code? And it occurred to me, there must be some code already in the game where it's checking for normal events. And again, thinking, I don't want to make an event, I kind of want like this fake event all the time, so I don't have to place little events on the edge of every map like I was talking about before. It all had me thinking, event, event, event. We can catch the normal event checking, hook into that. And so that's what's doing here. This is the code that would normally look for those events. This is the code that triggers your events, and so I wanted to make sure to retain this. And there are better ways to override methods if you are yourself a Ruby scripter and you want to be compatible with any mods that might also override this. Like if any other mods have changed how this function works, they will not be compatible with this script because I've put in some extra logic that they're probably going to miss out on. I think it might depend on the order you include them, actually. All that stuff gets confusing, and for my purposes, again, just like doing this silly thing, I didn't worry about it. If you're worried about it, there are other ways that you can override methods so that you leave the original logic, whatever. I copy-pasted it here, basically, the quick and dirty solution. So anyway, the important part is this do extra logic. So if your x-coordinate is 0, if you're on the very edge of the map, and again, this is triggered every time you step onto a tile, and it's thinking, oh, I want to check if there's any events. Okay, well, is your x 0? Well, in that case, you're on the very left edge, so we want to move to the west. And this is going to look a little funny. I probably should have done this in a different order, so let's look at one other thing. We have notes. And these notes are telling us which IDs to go for, and this is why I have typed up the IDs into the names of the maps, because I want to be able to easily look at my coordinate. Okay, 3D, that's map ID 6. Okay, when you go north, you go to 6. Okay, east, because I'm at 3E, would be 4E. Where's 4E? Okay, that's ID 12. East is 12. And this is a comment, by the way, so that we could leave that out. It doesn't matter. The real tag is this. How do you do tags? You might not even know how to code tags. They're actually pretty simple. Here's a little funny business. So I actually opted to do things in a kind of funky way. Let's scroll back up. So this says, what's the game map's west? And we want to cast that to an integer and make sure it isn't 0, because if it's 0, that means there's no transition. And let me show you an example of that. There's no east or west here, right? So we only want to move if you're not saying go to map 0, because there's no such thing. Not 0. Okay, but how do we get game map, by the way, is an internal variable. But what's its west value? There's no such thing, and so that's what these methods are doing. We're defining west for maps, and we're doing it by loading note tag coordinates and then returning this new west value we have set, and here's where we set that. This is some funny regular expressions. If you know coding, like if you know Ruby, or even if you've worked with regular expressions before, you can probably imagine pretty easily how this is working, right? We're taking apart that string, getting the numbers out, storing them into northeast, southwest. And actually, if I wanted to be better about this, I would do, sorry, you can't see what I'm typing. If there are no results, then I should just set them all to 0 so that we don't, if there's no tag, basically, then we want them to all be 0. Good, look, I made a little improvement. So anyway, because never mind. So I ran into a bug before because I didn't do this, and I've done it. Problem solved. So anyway, we set the northeast, southwest from the tags if available. Otherwise, we assume 0 values. That sets these northeast, southwest values, which you can see we're referring to here, so that when we get west. And the reason that it's wrapped up in a method like this is because there isn't anything in the game necessarily, you would have to script it, that as soon as a map loads, it goes and looks at the notes and looks for any tags, or there isn't anything that does it for characters. It always has to be scripted in something like this, and it's common. I've seen it done in other scripts that you may have downloaded or that I have downloaded, that they will do something like this. They write their own load whatever note tag method, and then they call it when they need to, either when the object is initialized or when the property is requested, as I've done here. I could honestly be a little smarter and only load things if they haven't already been loaded. But in this case, because you're moving from map to map, that's not an issue. And if that didn't make sense, I'm sorry, don't worry about it. I realize I'm rambling a lot. Really, I also realized that if anyone wanted this, they just paused as soon as they saw this code, right, and started typing it up or something. And actually, no need for that. I'll go ahead and put it on like GitHub as a what are they called? Like a snippet, or I don't know. They have some funny name for little code tidbits, and so I'll make one of those that you can just copy paste this out of if you want. But anyway, so if your x is 0, we want to go to the west. Now we've seen how we get the west value from the note tag, which isn't open anymore, but I showed you that. You'll remember, right? Fade type, this is a fade type of none. I found this value online. There's a fantastic post that if I was clever I would have loaded it up in advance to show you guys, but it shows you how to do a bunch of the sorts of events that you would put into a into an event tag, like these sorts of things, like transfer player. What's the fade? You know, all these things. What if you wanted to do this in script? What if you wanted to do play background music in script? What if you wanted to do any of these things in the Ruby script? It shows you how to do all those things. And so that's where I got how you do a transfer player. And this is how you do it. And I'm just modifying it to throw in the little value. So if you're on the x coordinate of 0, the west value isn't 0, then we transfer you to that west value, and that's a map ID, at this x coordinate, so that's the far right of the screen, but in one tile. Whatever y coordinate you were already at, which we know because it was like we already have that passed in. It's the y value. And then 0 is, I don't remember. It's something else the reserve transfer takes, and I've chosen not to use it. And then you can then imagine how all these work. If your x is 21, then you're at the far right of the screen. Sorry, left and right just always confuse me. You will notice, and again, we're always pushing you. Okay, right. So put you to the 20th tile. If it's 21, right? Okay. If it's 0, oh, putting you at the 1. I don't know how to word this properly, so I'm hoping the numbers are making sense to you. But we're always putting you one tile in from the edge so that you can step back to the edge and immediately transfer to the back to the map you just came from. I hope that makes sense. This was like so unplanned, this whole video, and the reason that I thought to do this is, again, I've made scripts before. I've posted them on the site. I don't know on the site rpgmaker.net or whatever. I don't know how popular they have been. I did one that was like super opinionated, and people either agreed or disagreed, and I don't know. I'm a little embarrassed about like the whole thing I wrote, but it's fine, whatever. But anyway, so I like to provide some scripts. I know that I use a lot of scripts, and I've shared them before, so I wanted to do one. And since I've been doing video updates for Mysterious Space, I figured I'd do it here. Anyway, you have now seen all that you need to do this yourself. And I think so. If there's any kind of place where you're thinking of throwing tags all over the place on the map for a touch of something like a screen transition, right? Do it in the code instead. Save yourself all that time, because whatever time I spent doing this, if I was going to make a full game, would save me tons of time in messing with all those transitions. And the reason I've been able to do as many maps as I did is because I haven't had to place all those events on the side. There's no event on this map. There's no event on this map. There's no event on this map. There's no event on any of these maps. I could just throw it all down. Using graphics that I've made, again, before for another game. I did make these trees. I didn't have those. And the flowers were so fun to draw. I just had a lot of fun drawing flowers. I love drawing flowers in every game. Anytime I make a game with a tile engine, something about flowers, just love to draw them. They're fun in Mysterious Space too. I did them in a slightly different way there. Anyway, so yeah, I just drew up some graphics and made a bunch of maps, and I had that code in place, and that was really kind of the real kind of fun. Like that satisfied my I need to program something itch, but I'm on an airplane or something. I don't have time to really like go into Mysterious Space, and there's barely any barely any room to type anyway. So I mean, I've got some graph paper where I've drawn out maps and things, and I put this thing together. And since I'm not going to use it, and again, I'm happy to share the code I've done so that maybe someone else will use it, right? I did some work. I would like it to be used somewhere. So I'm hoping that somewhere out there looks at this and goes, awesome, I would love a game, where you just transition between maps like that, and I don't have to make a bunch of fucking events on the side, not even worry about it. So there you go. I will, what, I could go ahead and I don't know. You've seen everything. I will document up briefly again in a little like GitHub note thing, or maybe I'll go as far as to write an article for rpgmaker.net. I don't know. And hopefully this video has shown you something cool and useful and or inspiring for a game that you are making or want to make. That would be super awesome. And if not, whatever. Anyway, as I said before, I will have another Mysterious Space update video before too long. I've made some cool progress there, and then having said that, I'm trying to think of what it was, and I honestly can't remember. As you can see, I'm just going to start up and find out. Where's Mysterious Space? Do I have anything cool? I don't know. Well, wait. Oh, yeah. Multiple accessory slots. That's a new thing. Anyway, I will post a video all about that at another time. Maybe later tonight, maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure. But sorry, RPG Maker. That's what this video is about. So thank you, as always, for watching. And sorry if you weren't expecting this because you were hoping for a Mysterious Space update. And again, I hope someone finds this useful. And if you do, just let me know. I would just love to know. Public domain, no rights reserved, whatever. Use this code in any way that you see fit. You don't even have to tell me. But I think it would be cool if you did. I would love to know if this was helpful to someone, and that would be encouragement, to maybe do more things like this. So anyway, rambled quite enough, as I always do. Thank you, and goodbye.